Alright, so this is the latest updated hard drive that they ever made for Megatouch Live. And this is the one that seems to work the best. Definitely better than the early ones. And this is set in offline mode in free play. And now I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about when I mention the slight freezes that happen during some of the games, right? And with Hoop Jones specifically is where it's going to affect you the most. And like, it's not like, if you get used to it, it's not like a huge deal. It sometimes it only happens like once or twice a game. It really just depends. It really just depends on how the hard drive is running. So the information that I got was that Megatouch, somebody discovered that there's basically this thing they call it memory leaks. So memory leaks are when software is designed in a way. So we had no freezes there so far. I mean, it will have a little small freeze eventually, I think. We had no freezes there in round one. Basically, it's a type of a slight bug where that's why they call it memory leaks. Oh, there you go. See, there you go. You got that. You see the little bit of a freeze right there. It's basically when there's memory kind of is leaking out in a sense, and temporarily kind of overloading the RAM, right? So it kind of like it very abruptly freaks out the RAM, and you get that little freeze, and then it resolves itself. Right, it resolves itself very quickly. And I guess Megatouch went out of business before they ever fully solved it, which sucks, obviously, because these machines physically, they're pretty cool. I mean, you got this big, nice HD screen. You know, you got the cool LED lighting around it and all that, and you got the game. You know, they made some games with like newer graphics and stuff. The internal components are like way newer than any of the other machines, and it's just unfortunate. Like I said, like, it's not a huge deal, but like in Hoop Jones specifically is where I think it would come into effect the most, because in Hoop Jones, you know, you're sitting there trying to line up each shot and you're getting into a rhythm. And when a little freeze happens, it kind of messes up your rhythm, right? Now, let me see. Like with sluggers, let's see, sluggers, I'll do this one and show you. And it's unfortunate because there's a Megatouch community. They are trying to solve the problem in the easiest way possible, but these hard drives are like encrypted. They're kind of like locked, basically. They're kind of encrypted and locked by Megatouch, right? Before they went out of business. And some of the people tried to do hardware upgrades. But even doing hardware upgrades, like replacing with a better motherboard and a faster processor, faster RAM, that still doesn't fully solve the issue, because the issue is not a hardware problem. It's a software problem. So, you know, they're going to try to come up with some way to fix it, I think. I don't know. Somebody's going to have to crack the software and clean up the code, and then they'd probably, if somebody does do that, they might eventually start selling hard drives, probably on eBay. There's a couple guys I know that I think are working on a solution, and they'd probably sell them on eBay, and they'd also be on the Facebook group, and I would assume that they'd start selling those drives, you know, however they figure it out, and then you could just easy hard drive swap. But I don't know if that's going to happen or when it would happen. But anyways, I'm just filming this so you can see the gameplay here. Like in this game, it doesn't really affect you. Now, if it happens as the ball is traveling to the bat, I mean, we can see here. which would very rarely happen. It's very rare that would happen at the exact moment that the ball's traveling. That's when it would affect you, just like Hoop Jones, right? While you're in the act of trying to time your shots. See, so far I haven't had a problem. I haven't had a problem with this game. But as you can see, the rest of the time, it works pretty good. And like these hard drives that I got a hold of. I got a hold of these hard drives that were the final updates that they ever made for Megatouch Live. And they actually apparently they cleaned up the code somewhat. I guess they were slowly working on trying to solve some, because the earlier hard drives had more problems. The earlier hard drives had, I have some of the earlier hard drives. They had some like more weird glitches, or like games that would you'd try to play the game and it would instantly go to the high score menu, and it would just skip the entire game. And then also, when these Megatouches aren't set into offline mode, they will, if the Megatouch is set into online mode, it will randomly restart. And that's one thing that was happening to people before they figured out that when it is in online mode, it wants to keep calling into the Megatouch servers. And when it can't do that, because they don't exist, obviously, it restarts, because it has some sort of weird protocol to restart, to try to, like, I guess, re-engage the Wi-Fi to maybe call into the... I don't know. So there was the earlier hard drives, and there was more weird things that would happen with those. But, this latest updated drive, I mean, here, so Flick City Sluggers, you pretty much have no problem with gameplay. I mean, pretty much every other game that I can think of, you're not going to have a huge problem with. It's specifically Hoop Jones is where you're going to, those little tiny freezes are going to affect you the most. But everything else, like here, I'll do this one here. Because look, you're not going to have any freezes. If you did have a freeze, it's going to happen as the ball's traveling, which is not going to affect your strategy or your rhythm. So you see, we got, it works great. It just depends on the game. It really depends on the game and how the mechanics of each game works. Games like this, it's not going to affect you. I mean, let's see if it does freeze at all. I mean, I haven't had it freeze since Hoop Jones. I'm trying to... This is a hard one to... Oh, I'm an idiot. You're supposed to do a long stroke. Sometimes this can be finicky. I need to clean this screen a little bit to... Megatouch, with games like this, with any Megatouch, can always be kind of finicky. Like, see, like... Yeah, I'm trying to get a good contact here. Can always be a little finicky with ones like this, trying to get like a long stroke on there, and sometimes it'll think you removed your finger. I mean, that's pretty standard for most Megatouches. I mean, I have more of these I can compare. Maybe if I... Okay, if I put like more of my put my finger flatter. There you go. That makes a difference. Oh yeah. So the flatter you put your finger, and my finger got smashed. That's why there's black on it. So a game like this, you want to lay your finger flat. Because, there you go. It works way better when you're flat in your finger. If you're doing the tip of your finger, you're gonna have problems. All right, so there's that game, perfect, no problem, smooth sailing. The Sluggers game, we were good. Flick City Rollers. Look, this hard drive actually has the classic games. So you've got, let me see, I'll go back here. These are all the categories. And then when you go to classic, you got 6 pages of classics, which is pretty cool. Where are we going? We can try QB Zone. Try to play I know how to play. The only problem with games like this one is the screen. This was made back when the screens were small. So it's just a lot of surface area you're having to travel here with your this was not designed for this specific unit. Yeah, see, look, I'm gonna have to... That's the key to these, is laying your finger flat. Okay, look, there we go. There was a little freeze right there, but it doesn't really affect you that much because if okay, let's say you throw the ball and it freezes while it's in midair like that just for a second. I mean, that's really not going to affect your game because it's not like you're losing time. Like, the time's freezing, so you're not like, it's not still counting down. You know, it'll come out of its freeze. You know, it's not like Hoop Jones. Like I said, Hoop Jones... God, I'm sucking right now, but Hoop Jones is where you're gonna have the most problems. The tips of my fingers are very kind of calloused, so that's another problem. That's why I have trouble with these types of games, using the tip of my finger. My fingers are they're very calloused, so touchscreens don't seem to like those. Ugh. It's kind of hard to get my finger flat when I'm standing. I need to be sitting down. Alright, so there we go. Let's see it done. Cool. Yeah, I mean, got a lot of classic games. Super boxy. Tie play. Texas Hold'em, Run 21. I know a lot of people like Tri-Castles, Tri-Towers, Tricky Fish, Tri-Towers Classic, Wild Apes. This one used to be a pretty popular one too. You got the Vinci Ball Classic. Or Dojo. We can do Vinci Ball and see. And actually, for these ones, right, these classic ones, this is why I'm realizing that small is the way to go. Because if you have all this crazy surface area to travel, it makes it way harder. So here, I'm gonna do it in small mode, because now it's gonna it's going to make it easier. Because the old Megatouch screens, they weren't much bigger than this. I mean, if anything, then some of the new ones maybe like that. But yeah, like I said, you gotta have try to get your finger as flat as possible. Especially if the tip of your finger's got any sort of like hardness to it, it's not gonna work extremely well. So that's why I need. So like I'm standing, and that's why if you sit, you want to sit on a chair and make yourself lower than the game. That makes it easier to lay your finger flat. So you want to be like down like this, sitting in a chair. I really hope that the Megatouch community figures out a solution for those little freezes. Because, I mean, these aren't bad. These aren't... Despite that, these aren't terrible machines. I mean, it's cool having the big screen. The graphics, you know, they made the graphics better. They loaded, you know, in this update here, the last update, they have all these classic games in there. A lot of the classic ones, which is pretty cool. So, I don't know. I will keep paying attention to the group post to see if they ever do come up with a solution. But yeah, like as you can see, you know, like in this game, you already saw a couple of freezes, but it didn't really it doesn't mess up your groove kind of deal. See, there you go, little freeze. I mean, you know, and it keeps going. So that's why I'm not selling these for an insane amount. Like a Megatouch Aurora, for any, you know, they made the Auroras back in 2010 up to 2000. Well, yeah, I think it was 2010 till 14, running the Ion software. I mean, to get a good Aurora nowadays used, you're gonna have to pay like $1,500, at least $1,500. So, you know, I'm not gonna go too crazy with these. You know, because, you know, just because of the you know, the little freezes, there's really nothing we can do about it, right? There's nothing we can do about it. But yeah, for all the other games, it doesn't really mess you up. It doesn't really mess you up. Just Hoop Jones, literally. But the problem is that's some people's a lot of people's favorite game is Hoop Jones. So, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, I've got 3 of these units. So, see what I can do there. Oh, I kind of got lazy there. I was about to quit the game, so. All right. That's about it for that. So, all right.